Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Karuna Swarupaya, Krishna Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Nami Karuna Sarupaya, Hare Krishna Pastimes.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Nami Karuna Sarupaya, Hare Krishna
Horrible Namaste. So let us continue our study program. We continue where we stop. The subject matter we were discussing this week is about the universal form of the Supreme Person. So Lord Krishna revealed to Arjuna his universal form. And while seeing the universal form, Arjuna is paying his obeisances and respect. Obeisance from the front, from behind, from all sides, O unbounded power. You are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything. I have in the past addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, without knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times while relaxing or while lying on the same bed or eating together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. Please excuse me for all my offenses. You are the Father of this complete cosmic manifestation, the worshipable Chief, the spiritual Master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. Within the three worlds, you are immeasurable. You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respects and ask your mercy. Please tolerate the wrongs that I may have done to you, and bear with me as a father with his son, or as a friend with his friend, or as a lover with his beloved. Upon seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me, and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, or O Abode of the universe. O universal Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head, and with club, wheel, conch shell, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. The blessed Lord said, My dear Arjuna, happily do I show you this universal form within the material world by my internal potency. No one before you had ever seen this unlimited and glaring effulgent form of mine. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charities, or similar activities can this form be seen. Only you have seen this. Your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all disturbance. With a peaceful mind, you can now see me. You can now see the form you desire. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krsna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, and at last he showed him his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Arjuna saw Krsna in his original form, he said, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified, and I am restored to my original nature. The Blessed Lord said, my dear Arjuna, the forms which you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear. The form which you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is only by this means that it is only not by this means that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So I'll read again Lord Krishna's statement how we can see him. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from contamination of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to all living entity, certainly comes to me. Devotionals, the universal form. That is chapter 11, text 55. So Lord Krishna is telling us how we can be seeing him. And that also is the prime teaching of Lord Jesus Christ. One should love the Supreme Father with thy whole heart, thy whole mind, thy whole being. So this is the conclusion how we can be connected with the pleasure of God and His will. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from contamination of previous activities, from mental speculation, who is friendly to all living entity, certainly comes to me. So that is the conclusion. So I'll read the purport of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, who is our instructing spiritual master. Anyone who wants to approach the Supreme of all personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky and be intimately connected with the Supreme Personality, Krishna must take this formula, as stated by the Supreme Himself. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a book directed to the conditioned souls who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature, and who do not know of the real spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality. And to teach, the Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality, and to teach one how to go back home to Godhead. Now here is the verse which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in his spiritual activity. Devotional service. As far as work is concerned, one should transfer his energy entirely to Krishna conscious activities. No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna karma. One may be engaged, karma means activities. One may be engaged action in the service of Krishna. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be done for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity to in Krishna consciousness or devotional loving service, one has to do business for God, for Krishna. If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. If a businessman is in the possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all of this to Krishna, he can do it. This is work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna, and he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange the deity service as it outlined in the authorized book of devotional service. This is called Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna. One should accept as prasadam food the remnants of offering to Krishna. So about these activities, wherein this is all Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work. So under the guidance of his confidential loving friend, the spiritual master, he gives us instruction how we can render loving service to the Supreme Person by using this body and according to our tendencies. Because we are all individuals, we have different strength and tendencies. Like a businessman, he can use his brain, his intelligence to accumulate wealth and use that and offer it to Lord Krishna. As a mother, you can raise a child to be with wisdom and be focused in loving and serving Lord Krishna. So it means the mother herself should be the one to live a life of a devotee. So she becomes the example, the living example whom the child can follow and emulate. So as a teacher also, we have this talent, we have this intelligence, this skill to teach, the ability to teach. So side by side with what we're teaching, the science of economics, side by side with this, we should teach them the wisdom that is connected with their transcendental nature, who they are, spirit, soul. Teach them who they are so they can be directed to find fulfillment and happiness and protection under the shelter and under the care and love of the Supreme Person. So whatever state we're in, under the guidance of the spiritual master, we can use whatever talents we have, whatever skills we have, to connect that in serving Krishna. So when we offer that, the fruits of our action, the recipient is Lord Krishna. But look closely. You cook prasadam, we should eat prasadam food offered to Krishna. You cook nicely, offer to Lord Krishna, and you eat that food offered to Lord Krishna. So what will happen is when a person is engaged in the practice of devotional service while in this body, he lives a life that is connected with doing the will of God, following the will of God in practice, and at the time he's living, he can now leave this world in meditation of what he's doing in practice, because his mind, his heart is now focused in serving the Supreme Person. So at the time he's leaving this world, while living in this world, he is with the Supreme Lord's grace and embrace and experiencing loving service. So at the time he's leaving, he leaves this world in focus also in serving the Supreme Person and going back to the spiritual world, in the world that is free from miseries, and continue his loving service with the Supreme Person according to the desire and will of the plans of the Supreme Person. So this is a science how we can become free from this experience of misery, a meditation centered around the transcendental eternal world of pure devotional service. So we can now see, on one hand, this is what can liberate us, what can free us, how we can become successful. On the other hand, our attachment to this world will be the cause of our pain, the cause of our emptiness, sadness, insecurity, distress, all the suffering because of the focus of our meditation. So the process we follow, the more we become attached to Lord Krishna, the more we begin to become purified through Krishna himself, assisting us, purifying us, embracing us through the holy names. What will happen is we become detached to the cause of suffering. And our pleasure now is not anymore a futile search where there is no pleasure and happiness, but only suffering. We now experience a higher taste, and we become defocused and be directed in the world that is not touched by this misery. And we can check that in ourselves. I'll tell you one example. My friend, I came to know that one of my friend, who is a devotee of Srila Prabhupada, he's been working for so long. He has a family, and he's been working, practicing sadhana bhakti process, and trying to focus his life in the service of God, working hard. Then all of a sudden, the inevitable comes. He has to leave the body. And the situation he's in now, his body is breaking down. Just like, you see this car, when it really after using it for all those years, it slowly breaks down, and then until it cannot work anymore. So in his case, he has cancer. He has this mass that's near his aorta or the heart. And what's happening now, it's becoming inflamed and inflamed and inflamed. The tumor is getting bigger and bigger and pushing the aorta, which is the passage of the air for the heart while it's pumping. Now he can hardly breathe. And that mass of cancer connects up to his, what do you call here, thighs. The cancer up to here. And then he's experiencing pain in his stomach. Not only that, one of his kidney broke down. And not only that, his liver is breaking down also. So it's now a call sign, a red flag, or the buzzer, or the whistle. Time's up. Diba? In basketball, it's like that, diba? Okay, 3 minutes. And everybody trying, because it's, in basketball, and everybody wants to succeed, And then, everybody stop. Yeah? So it's like that. So it's a call sign already. So what happened was he's in the hospital. And my friends, because devotees, they care for one another. They're always thinking of helping one another, caring. It's a world of loving relationship. So because they care for one another, so they visited him and chanted with him because he's having a hard time chanting. And not only that, to help him focus his mind in remembering the Supreme Lord. So they came to the hospital to bring him, get him out of there, to bring him to a place where he can prepare to leave his body. He knows he's not the body. He should leave his body, but because of association in this material world, it's sometimes it puts us in a situation of confusion because we have this attachment, but the buzzer has already rung. You have to leave. So you have to face the music. You have to face what you should be facing. So you can see my friend talked to him and said, stop trying to struggle. Instead of trying to defeat death, trying to run away from death, it's an eye-opener also that you can. It's high time now to leave and leave this body as someone who is completely surrendered to Krishna. You can pray, bow down, and take shelter of the Supreme Person. You focus your mind, your heart, everything. But there's a problem because in the hospital, he got contaminated by COVID. And all those friends who came there to chant with him, they also became aware, wow, he has COVID, and all of them were supposed to help him, bring him to a place where he can meditate and leave his body in loving remembrance of the Supreme Person. They're put now in a very difficult situation because they have to have swab tests and to also have quarantine. They might have COVID, their body may have been contaminated with COVID virus, and they're aware. They have families also, children, friends, so they have to protect them also. So they're now in quarantine. So the situation is really so, it's so hard. But because this person has been blessed by Krishna, the spiritual master, given the opportunity to engage in activities that will help him remember Lord Krishna, activities connected with the pleasure of Lord Krishna, the chanting of the holy names, the giving of the holy names, working for Lord Krishna, that he's been doing for so long. So he's in a situation now in a hospital, in sanitarium, there, quarantine. Nobody comes. No one can come to him, even his wife. So the nurse, it's a good thing there's a nurse there whom my friends can communicate. So what happened is, instead of people going there, bringing their bodies to chant with him, it's an online chanting. So what they did was they sent this, machine or MP3 whatsoever, so he can hear and chant. He's alone. So look closely. When you leave this world, you're alone. If you make your life focus upon attachment to this world, and your happiness is connected with this world, these temporary forms, in illusion, thinking they're the body, your shelter, at the time you're leaving, you'll be leaving everything behind. But if your heart, your mind, and attachment is connected, your security is connected with all these forms, it will be a painful travel because at the exit, you don't want to go. You don't want to go because your heart, your mind is connected. What happened? Your heart now is because our focus, our meditation has become the anchor that is now anchored upon this temporary form. And the living entity who is living, who identifies himself with the mind, his activities, and his love, it's very hard kasi you're anchored. Or in short, you're shackled. So it's really hard. That's why at the time you're living this world, even when a person is not really surrendered, but in his heart he wants to have this connection with Lord Krishna, to be able to embrace Krishna in love, but because of his previous activities, the anchor, the heart, the mind, focus upon those temporary forms. But because of his practice, due to the guidance of the spiritual master, his attachment, and he can make this decision now to cut that anchor. Shed off or cut it off and go to Krishna. So we should ask ourselves, at the time we're living, because there's no contract, there's no buzzer, like, okay, you have 100 years to live in this body, December, okay, you were born in this day, on this date, and at the time the president will have a new election, at the time you're gonna leave the body. There's no such thing as contract. You don't know when you will leave. You may work very hard thinking, I'm gonna get this, in anticipation, I'm gonna get this, and when you get it, you try to harness all of it, control it, and at the time, you have cancer and you're leaving the body. That the body who's holding all the wealth, the titles and the land, the mind that has been so focused, thinking, I can control, then it dawned upon you, you're gonna leave everything behind. So the practice we're doing is to be free from this false attachment and experience a higher taste that will connect our life, our heart. At the time we're living, time to leave, I'm going back. I'll be seeing my friend. I'll be seeing my friend. So you pray, although you feel, a person feels humbleness in his heart that he's not qualified. But Krishna is telling us, just surrender unto me, love me, focus your heart, everything, and I'll protect you. And in humbleness, he takes shelter of the Supreme Person, the Lord of Love, and put his whole life, his whole being, please protect me, just like what Arjun did. So that is the practice we do here, because it's a reality that you will be facing the inevitable. You're gonna live alone. You came here alone, you're gonna live alone. You came here with nothing, you're gonna live with nothing. But there is something that will connect you with this miserable world if your meditation and your heart is focused upon this world. So the advice is that one must have this focus. When Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, let's read it again. Let's recap what we have heard. Because we cannot rely on the mind, So I read here how we can be focused, how we can enter that world, that while we're leaving this world, at the time the buzzer rings, kring, or the whistle tells us, and time's out, no time out. You cannot say, time out. No, walang ganon. It's not like basketball. When the bell rings, that's why whom the bells toll, tong, 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 tong. So this is what we should aim. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from contamination of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. Here we can connect this to the process that is given to us. That is given to us by Krishna himself. He comes. The Lord of Love comes. And this is how we can achieve this state of consciousness, this state of transcendental experience. So we are blessed to come in contact with Lord Krishna as the holy names. So Lord Krishna is telling us, Lord Chaitanya himself, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together, all the sinful activities we did engage before will become purified. Thus, the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death is extinguished. So meaning, at the time we're living this world, we have no more material desires. Our desire is completely focused upon the transcendental relationship with Lord Krishna in purity. We have transcended the puritive activities we are doing. We are now free, embraced by Lord Krishna. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spread the rays of benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss. And it helps to have a taste of the full nectars where which we are always anxious. So in our study here, Lord Krishna revealed himself to Arjuna because Arjuna is his friend. Now we ask this question, is God your friend? Or is he just someone there as our order supplier? What is our relationship with God? You ask this in yourself. What is your focus in your life? It's just about how I can be happy, how I can become purified, and in imagination think that the goal of life is just purity that no suffering. No, that is not what is being stated here. It is about having this eternal connection in loving service with the Supreme Person. So why are we always anxious? Why is one always anxious? Because we don't have a stable platform, a continual experience of fulfillment, because we are so covered by material nature and contaminated by material disease. And our activities are centered around fruitive work. Fruitive activities means we do something to get the fruits of our action. That is not in harmony with our true nature. The fruits of our action should be offered to Krishna because He owns everything. So the more we chant, the more we become purified. The more we begin to know the science of love. Not know, but just experience. We begin to be humble, be trusting, experience kindness, compassion, and care, to experience what is real friendship, how to be cared. And when we chant the holy names, we can be cared and embraced by the Supreme Person if we make that effort to chant the holy names, receive Him, receive the gift that is being given to us. So now we look at our predicament. What is my real situation? Time moves so fast. Just like with my friend, before, relatively speaking, we were so young, distributing, going around Mindanao, chanting together. Then it dawned upon us, wow, the body is now inflicted with disease. And it's a sign that it is a learning experience that you're not in your natural world. So everything that we experience here is God's love for us. But when a person is in this enviousness of God and trying to lord over material nature, what happens is that every mercy, every care, every love experience that Krishna wants to give us, he cannot see that. He becomes angry. God is his enemy because he cannot do his own will and get what he wants. So he doesn't want to hear the truth. Nobody wants to hear the truth. You know, if you make a movie about death, nobody will go to that scene. Before, there's this movie, Paces of Death. It did not click. Nobody wants to talk about death. You know, nobody wants to talk about that. But that is what we'll be facing. And when we leave this world, Krishna is telling us, the only way you can enter that world wherein you are situated in your natural world that is transcendental, in harmony with my love, is this undivided devotional service. No material contamination. When the heart, the living entity, who is pure by nature, becomes purified by God Himself through the chanting of the holy names. That's why the holy names is like the cleansing, like if your hands are dirty, the water is the cleansing agent, to clean the hands, So Krishna Himself purifies us. All what we have to do is receive it. And how can we become free from this illusion, from this anger, from this envy? God Himself will purify that. That's why what happened is this. He gives us a process. He gives us a process. So we know many individuals want to achieve purity because they think that when they're pure, there's no suffering. But it's very hard to pen off anger, lust, greed, because it's situated in the mind. The mind is so directed and focused upon this world, and you want to get free from suffering. And the focus of your meditation is the cause of suffering. And then you ask, why am I suffering? Why am I suffering? Because our focus of meditation is the world of suffering. And through the mercy of Lord Krishna, we can be detached. We can be free from this suffering because our attachment now will be with the transcendental world of pure devotional service, with Krishna, Vaikuntha, the word of love, eternal love, connected with our true nature, life, the transcendental living entity will now be connected with a world that is not touched by this miserable world. And to enter that, Krishna is advising us, giving us the process. Just like Arjuna, Krishna revealed himself to Arjuna. So how much we are making progress in spiritual maturity, how much we are in love, how much we are surrendered, then Krishna reveals himself. So in this case, Arjuna, being completely surrendered to Krishna, his friend, he relates to Lord Krishna as his friend. Now we ask ourselves, are we relating to Lord Krishna as our friend? But because we lack understanding of Krishna, the supreme all attractive, our idea of God is what we have heard from those who don't know God, who are simply covered by illusion, and not only that, in bodily identification. Someone who's teaching about God, who is in bodily identification, will be teaching what is false. God becomes anthropomorphic, meaning His matter. So they portray God as someone who's very old. Look closely. Why are you attracted to beauty, to someone who's very young? Yeah? And Krishna is the eternal youth. You don't get old. It's our nature to be attracted to someone who is eternally young, transcendental, but now, in this world, it's completely different. So this gift that is being given to us before it's time out, it's a time out, okay, you have 100 years to practice. But when the buzzer rings, it's the end of the game. So if you have practice, if you engage, you surrender your life, you understand this wisdom, your life is simply serving Krishna. Your life is simply meditating upon the person you are loving, the sweetness of Lord Krishna, chanting His holy names, glorifying Him. You're connected with His will, His pleasure. Then at the time, the buzzer rings, bring, oh, time to leave, I go to Krishna. Because you're with Krishna at the time you're in this body. While you're in this body, that's why in the Bible it's stated, while we are in this body, we're away from the Lord. It's better to be out of the body and with the Lord. But in either case, to be in the body or out of the body, our life should be loving the Supreme Person. To enter the transcendental world, we must be guided by someone, by God Himself, revealing Himself. Just like Arjuna Krishna revealed Himself to Arjuna. That's what you do here in this material world. You want to relate to someone. It's not that, for example, you ride a bus, you see a beautiful girl, you said, wow. Who are you? What's your name? Will you marry me? You don't do that. Diba? You get to know the person. So let's be real, It is a science we must learn and understand that when the buzzer rings, we don't shout, time out. Time out, give us 3 minutes. No. Either you succeed, you win. Are you a winner or are you a loser? You ask this question. You want to be a winner? Then follow the instruction of Lord Krishna. Because my friend told this individual, my friend, stop struggling, fighting death, trying to stay in the body forever. Your body is breaking down already. It's a call sign. It's a sign already. An eye-opener. You're gonna leave. Now meditate upon what you should be meditating. Focus upon that love, that person who loves you eternally, sweet Lord Krishna. And because of his practice, Krishna protects him. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, he said, declare it boldly, my devotee never perish. To those who are constantly devoted unto me, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. Even though you don't, at the time you have this accident, Krishna takes care of you. That is his promise. Just like this devotee, at the time he's a devotee, he fell down and engaged in materialistic activities. But at the time he's leaving the body, he said, Narayan, Krishna, he's saved. You're linked up with the transcendental network. So that is the greatest gift, the greatest security, the greatest shelter we have. Because Krishna loves us eternally. The question is asked, will we be resituated again in that world of loving relationship? And he's asking us, telling us, surrender unto me, love me, I'll protect you. So it's our choice now. Haribol Namaste.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Bhakti Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Bol Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Bol Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Bol Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Shila
Hari Bol
Prabhupada,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya
Hari Bol
Gurudev,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Shila
Hari
Prabhupada,
Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya
Hari
Siddhaswarupananda,
Bol Krishna,
Ananda Paramahamsa,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya
Hari
Siddhaswarupananda,
Bol Krishna,
Ananda Paramahamsa,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Krishna,
Ananda Paramahamsa,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya
Hari
Siddhaswarupananda,
Bol Krishna,
Ananda Paramahamsa,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namite, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestayate.